Hello and welcome to the Hontour replay cast. Here we have Goobies versus a touch of class.
Yeah, good afternoon or evening, wherever you may be watching this, and I'm pretty excited to, get into this first Hontour cast that I've done, Dan. So
Yep,
it's good to be doing it.
excellent Gadget. This is GoGo Gadget and I'm NFG Dan. Giving this a shot. Obviously, the replay cast. Let us know what you think. This was a special recommendation, a special request from a fan. So we're getting it underway here, and we've got the blind bands have already gone ahead. We've got that Tremble, Tundra, and the Draconis and Ophelia. What do you think of the blind bands? A bit interesting.
Yeah, a little bit. The Tremble ban, I think that must be some sort of targeted respect ban, potentially. I think they're talking about a touch of class Pal Fighter might have had, Tremble as his most played even potentially. So I think that's where that ban might be targeted at.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know much about these two teams, but they seem to know each other, of course. And we've got the locks coming out at the moment. We've got Keeper of the Forest, Aluna, Tempest, Plague Rider, Nymphora, and the final lock will be Jeraziah. So pretty standard when it comes to those lock pools. We've seen the Plague Rider and the Aluna in there a lot. Interesting to see a Jeraziah not banned this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry's kind of escaped into the locked pool now, and he has actually been locked up by a touch of class this game, so we'll see if he's picked up. I probably would expect him to be. Jerry's he's so popular around the competitive scene at the moment. He's so versatile. You can put him mid, you can do, maybe in maybe in that long lane even as well, and the abilities that he brings to team fights, the utility in that Soul's Blessing and the protective charm as well, is pretty amazing. So I think he's definitely going to be picked up this game.
Yeah, well, while you say that, though, obviously a lot of powerful heroes up there. That Tempest,
True,
that
yeah.
Keeper of the Forest, Aluna, one of those great supports with that Nymphora up there as well. I guess it'll come down to what bands are coming out. We got that Parasite, Pebbles, Engineer, Wild Soul, and Fade. Pretty standard bands in the lineup so far. Obviously, Parasite we've seen a lot of in the Australian competitive scene in the last couple of matches during the CGIs, and the final ban will be Dark Lady. So getting that hard carry off the table, but there are a lot more left over. Obviously, you've got your Silhouette, you've got your Mage Bane, things like that.
Yeah, and with Fade banned, Mage Bane certainly is on the board here. I mean, Fade, of course, one of the hardest counters to Mage Bane with that Burning Shadows, which burns Mage Bane's mana and, will stop him from blinking. So they might look to pick him up this game. But no, first pick for Goobies on the Legion team is actually Meraxes. So going for that strong sort of tanky initiator.
Yeah, Meraxes, super powerful hero, especially once he gets his portal key. He can just do so much damage jumping in there, upsetting a team fight. And obviously with his Arcane Shield as well, any targeted spells, if he times it just right, not just nullifies the spell, but obviously gives him that bit of a boost as into the battle as well. So it can be super powerful, especially if you're on your game here, which I'm sure Goobies are. And it looks like a couple of picks are going to be coming ahead here for a touch of class. It'll be interesting to see what they end up trying to pick up, try and see what kind of lineup they're going for.
Yeah, absolutely. They've actually just gone with the Bubbles Pharaoh as their first two picks for this game. Now, Pharaoh, he's been making a bit of a return to the competitive scene. Lots of these teams are figuring out that Pharaoh, he's a great initiator. He doesn't need to spend 2.1k on that portal key like so many others do. He can just afford to build a little bit tanky, potentially a Helm of the Black Legion, something like that, and really get into melee, get in the face of some of those range carries like Silhouette that he might be jumping on this game. And Silhouette, that is the second pick there for Goobies, so they've taken their range carry. Pretty standard pick. Silo, of course, very strong. Pretty strong in the lane, pretty strong all throughout the game, really. She has lots of damage mid-game as well. And I think that is a pretty good pick for Goobies. Now, there's a couple of supports on the board up there in the lock pool, but yeah, Glacius is picked there, so just that's a pretty good pick as well. Glacius, top tier support at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what you were talking about, Pharaoh, I'm not sure whether they want to get him to so that they can run a Tempest. I guess we'll find out once the locks come up. But obviously he's also a very good counter to Tempest, as he putting that Hellfire on, even if he gets jumped by Tempest, could deactivate the ultimate. Of course, he can deactivate the ultimate from very far away and just jet on in with that Wrath of Pharaoh. So, whether they're picking him up to try and make sure Goobies doesn't, or whether they want it just in case Goobies is going for that Tempest. Obviously, that I imagine we're going to see a Keeper Tempest come in on opposite teams here, and that's always an interesting one to watch. Who's going to throw the ultimate down first? Who's going to cancel the others? And but like you said, that Glacius, very powerful support hero, and Forsaken Archer actually getting picked up by a touch of class.
Yeah, Forsaken Archer, a very strong range carrier as well. She's just got so much AoE damage. She's almost like, some of the int mages that we see with that piercing arrows, which does just an amazing amount of damage. Of course, you can chain that with a crippling volley, and the pushing power even of those skeletal minions of the Call of the Damned on her is very powerful as well. So, Forsaken Archer, pretty good pick as well. So we're getting next couple of picks down really fast. Nymphora is actually the next pick after that for Rescue for Goobies, and Nymphora has a very powerful ultimate. You can set up nice ganks with that teleport. Nymphora Zeal, great stun. She has great sustain in lanes of the Nymph and the volatile pod as well. So that's a pretty good pick. What do we think of the Keeper of the Forest pick from the lot pool on A Touch of Class's side, Dan?
I really like it. Obviously, Keeper's a very powerful suicide, but I don't think they're going to be using him as a suicide this time just because they have that bubbles. I mean, they might surprise us, change the lineup a little bit, but Keeper's a very powerful jungler, and especially if Tempest does get picked up here by Goobies, I think Keeper is a great way to deactivate that Tempest ultimate as well. At least until Tempest gets like a refresher stone or something like that. Be interesting to see what ends up happening here. I think they will have to go for the Tempest, or something like the Plague Rider. I really don't think they have room in their lineup to go for a Jerizaiah. So unfortunately, Gadget, we're not going to see your Jerry play today. Oh, actually we are. There we go. We are going to see a Jerizaiah. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a big fan, but I guess all those heals coming out is going to do a lot. And we got the Good Luck, Have Fun. We're going to do a couple of swaps maybe, and the Readies are coming up now. So I'm completely blown out, but I'm glad you get to see your Jerry play.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad I called that one right. But yeah, Jerizaiah is going to be on the lineup for QSQ. I mean, just looking at who they've got at the moment, they've got some pretty strong lanes under the belt now. We probably could expect something like, potentially a Jerizaiah mid. Then we could be seeing actually, but Meraxes does do mid lane pretty well as well. So we'll have to see what Goobies send into the lineups. Of course, as you pointed out, Silo probably going to be going down into that bottom lane with relative ease. So just got the wars coming out, but of course with spectator mode, we're just going to skip right past that and see where both of these teams are setting their lanes.
Yeah, so I'm seeing at the moment, as we hit the 1 minute mark right now, that Meraxes, Jerizaiah and Nymphora are walking mid, so that's a bit interesting. I'm wondering what's going to happen, or what's going to happen because of that, of course. Looks like Jerizaiah could be going top, potentially in that solo lane in the top. As you mentioned, obviously Jerizaiah, very powerful solo hero. He has that heal, he can stay alive a bit, he's got that protective charm. Looks like he's going to try and ward up here a little bit to protect himself. I imagine we might see a Meraxes and Nymphora in that middle lane, and then Silhouette Glacius in that bottom lane. Pretty standard coming up against that Bubbles. I think Bubbles is going to have a very hard time. And going over the Hullborn lineups a little bit more, Keeper of the Forest potentially going mid here, although it looks like a lot of roaming coming around from a Luna and that Pharaoh. And Forsaken Archer, I imagine, would be in that top lane. So I'll be interested to see whether Keeper of the Forest does end up going the jungle. Pharaoh looks like he might be moving back. They're moving around too much for me to notice. And we see down the bottom lane, those animated trees actually holding the Legion team wave back. And I've talked about this before with Warbeast. They hold some or all of the lane back just so it's almost like a Behemoth Fisher stun, you know, blocking the creep wave a little bit. It means that these creeps are going to push up here for Bubbles if Silhouette's not smart, and push under the tower. That's going to push the lane forward again, make it a little bit safer for Bubbles to come out. But I guess we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, so it looks like lanes we actually do have that Meraxes mid, Meraxes in for pretty strong combination there for Goobies in the mid lane. That is going to be going up against a Luna and FA. So, you know, once again, a lane that Goobies are going to have to watch out for. I mean, a Touch of Classes lane, just looking at it, it's actually going to have a lot of burst. You know, we could see the Aluna Emerald Lightning Stun chained with a power throw into a crippling volley. That's a lot of damage, so I think the Infora and Meraxes are going to have to watch out for that one.
Yeah, definitely. And while Goobies obviously has that sort of more late game presence, I believe that Silhouette does scale a lot faster and a lot harder late game, especially with that Relentless Salvo, get something like a Nullstone, and it looks like he's just doing great with the farm in this bottom lane at the moment. Bubbles will run into Glacius though and end up teleporting out, so he's not able to sneak any cheeky XP off to the side at the moment, but he will harass this Glacius a little bit, trying to do what he can to force Glacius back and get in there. Look in the middle lane, this Meraxes sitting on 4 and 0 versus the Forsaken Archer on 6 and 0. So Forsaken Archer having a little bit of a better time.
Was that a bloodlust?
Actually missed that in that bottom lane, unfortunately. That Bubbles getting the Bloodlust there onto Glacius, so harassing him enough to be able to take him out. Glacius getting a bit too bold at level 1.
Yeah, I think the problem in that little engage there, I was just having a look at it, is that Keep Chillin' on the Silhouette didn't actually respond when Bubbles was trading hits with Glacius in the jungle. You know, Silhouette obviously thought that Glacius might be fine, but you know, Bubbles, he started off with that Guardian Ring, the ring of armor that gives 2 armor, and he was able to win that trade very handily. So that's what let him get the first blood.
Started a power throw as well as a shell surf coming onto Nymphora, but it looks like the Hellborn team will be backing off. Bubbles does have a double damage room, but no more mana, so he's going to be a little bit careful there. Perhaps go back into the lane, try and make something happen. A little bit of trading happening in the top lane. Jeremiah versus Pharaoh. It looks like they both will be fine. Pharaoh's having a bit of a better time with it, and that Hellfire is actually... Oh, it does magic damage, but I think the stuns may be physical. I'm not 100% sure there. And Ring of the Teacher picked up on Bubbles, so pretty standard for that suicide roll. And at this stage, obviously Silhouette, top farmer in the game, 311 gold per minute. But the experience lead slightly in favour of that Legion team at the moment, despite that Keeper in that jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is pretty impressive. Of course, you know, with a jungler, we do typically see teams of the jungle, you know, gain a little bit in terms of the global experience and gold, just because they've got that extra source of experience. But I've no doubt that, you know, Keeper, once he does start to get those, you know, items to accelerate his farm, we will be noticing that. But yeah, in the meantime, just looking up in the top lane, see who's winning that. So Jeremiah is actually on 13 creeps with 2 denies to Pharaoh's 15 and 4. So, you know, it's pretty close there. Pharaoh, you know, having a slight advantage. I'd probably expect that, you know, Jeremiah is very mana hungry, so before he has, you know, the chance to build something like a mana ring, Ring of Sorcery that is, then, you know, he's going to struggle a little bit. But as we can see there, he's got that mana potion, so...
Bit of action in that mid lane. Nymphora throws out the Zeal Stun. Stun coming up from Meraxes as well. Crippling Volley will miss, and Hearty will get that credit for the kill on the Nymphora. Probably not the best person to get credit for that kill, but, you know, supports have got to buy wards too, so a little bit of money on him's not too bad, evening up the kill scores at the moment, 1 for 1, as Aluna does roam top with Invis, so Jeremiah potentially got to be a little bit careful. He has popped a mana pot, but as he said, he is quite mana hungry. Bubbles will take cover that last auto attack from Silhouette and will be fine there. So Jeremiah has actually been jumped on now. He does pop the Protective Charm potentially a little bit early, as Pharaoh and Aluna right on him right now, and potentially there go the Mummy Walls right there. You can imagine the stun coming out, there it goes, and the power throw. So Jeremiah getting finished off right at the end there.
Yeah, so that will certainly hurt be back up in that top lane on the Jeremiah. Will, you know, delay that mana ring, which it looks like he was just getting sent up, the Amulet of Exile recipe on the courier as well. So unfortunate for him up in that top lane. But yeah, meanwhile down at bottom, well, Pedestrian on the bubbles, of course, he's having a very hard time against this dual lane of Silo Glacius. I mean, you can just see him being pressured there, even under his tower. So he's going to have to retreat and play that one nice and safe, lest he give up his life. So looks like, Silo, of course, in the meantime, getting free farm down. That's pretty dangerous, Not too sure how long a Touch of Class wants to let that go on for, because, a farm Silo can really devastate. And just looking at the highest farmer on a Touch of Class's side, they've got a Pharaoh up in the top lane on about the same GPM as Silo, but the question is, does he scale as well?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is level 6 now, so potentially we could see him get something like a Teleport Stone and get ready to back that Bubbles up. Maybe if he gets a little bit more mana, teleport in, throw out a Wrath of Pharaoh, catch Silhouette off guard maybe. Same sort of thing with his Keeper. I mean, if Keeper hits level 6, finishes that Ring of the Sorcery, he could potentially get in that aggressive jungle. Luna could be a little bit of trouble here though. The Ice Imprisonment comes out, the Nymphora Zeal Stun and the Slow with the axes. One more auto attack. Hardy getting credit for a second kill now. And that Nymphora doing work.
Yeah, wow, Nymphora is only sitting on 2-0 to 157 gold per minute, so that is a Rambo Nymphora if I've ever seen one. We'll probably be expecting lots of wards coming out from Hardy and maybe some counter wards as we actually see some action up in the top lane. Josiah has used that Soul's Blessing, but that will of course force a Touch of Class to back out of that one, I think. Yeah, Keeper level 5, so didn't have access to that route just for that gank.
Yeah, I'd like to see this Keeper maybe go into that aggressive jungle come level 6. You can definitely sneak in there now. I mean, there's not much ward coverage at the moment. Obviously, you can't know that. But if you can sneak in there, catch that Silhouette maybe, and Pharaoh on top of it, they could do a lot of damage. In that middle lane, Mirax is going in onto that Aluna. Aluna going down there. Forsaken Archer trying to do what she can. Crippling Volley will end up taking out Timber, but at what cost, obviously. Forsaken Archer running back under the tower, but the auto attacks from those supports just way too powerful. Glacius is actually picking up credit for that one, so a lot of action coming out in this game, mostly due to the supports getting all the kills.
Yeah, we've got a Nymphora on 3 kills, a Glacius with a kill and an assist, so we're going to see lots of wards this game, no doubt, and maybe some early Striders. That would be fantastic. And you'll have to keep an eye on these supports, they're getting pretty Rambo. In the meantime, take a look at what items everyone is currently picking up at the moment. Looks like in need of Tim on the Keeper of the Forest in the jungle. He's going for an early Ring of Sorcery as well. So, that's just to sustain himself in the jungle. Pretty good pickup there once he does manage to get it. Standard items across the board as well. Pharaoh, might be looking to build into that helm. He's got those Steam Boots as well. So, nothing too crazy picked up yet.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to see any huge ticket items just yet. Keeper looks like he's working towards that Ring of Sorcery. Zero's Eyes just picked his up, and he'll be able to have a little bit more of a lane presence now that he can pop that mana quite quickly and heal up. I mean, Silhouette's got that Life Tube. You've got to assume, of course, going for a Null Stone. It's not going to really stop much though against that Hellborn team. I mean, it's going to stop the stun from a Luna, potentially a Sheep Stick down the track, or even a obviously a tablet or something like that, but I mean it's a pretty standard item on Silhouette, gives a good amount of health regen, mana regen, and some stats, so it's just a pretty safe build usually. Looks like a lot of pressure happening on this tower, but the teleports are coming in here. The Kelpfield does go down. Shell Surf coming out as well. As I mentioned, Pharaoh is here, using that Hellfire, trying to get out of the way of the grapple, and it looks like he will use Wrath of Pharaoh onto Silhouette. One more auto attack. Silhouette quite low here, but the Tormented Soul. Boom goes the Dynamite, of course, and actually Bubbles ending up getting credit for the kill onto Glacius. So they take out 2 there. I believe they did lose Forsaken Archer in that mid lane while that was happening. But definitely not a bad trade. Taking out Silhouette, very important.
Yeah, certainly Silhouette, obviously the hardest scaling members of Team Gerbies this game. So, taking her out, delaying that Null Stone will give her, a little bit more to work to, and she'll have to be a little bit more careful in those ganks. Of course, that Torment, so they're just getting the so. And that was a nice pickup for a Touch of Class. And, in the meantime, as you pointed out, we saw Forsaken Archer drop in the mid lane for a Touch of Class, and FA is currently 1-3-0, 150 GPM at the moment, so that is really not where a Touch of Class need that Forsaken Archer to be. And, just comparing her to Silo, who's on more than double that amount of gold per minute. That is pretty devastating for them. So they're going to need to come up with a solution to make sure that FA can get some more farm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, bring up this gold per minute tab now. 342 on that Silhouette. Pharaoh sitting right up there, 380, and that's nice to have, but their Forsaken Archer down there at 155, and he is struggling, she is struggling a little bit, I guess. Not quite sure what they can do. Maybe they need to gank that mid lane, get her involved in some of that, get her some assists. But it looks like she's just going top to try and free farm a little bit, catch up on that farm. Looks like Meraxes is going in here a little bit though. He's dropping those axes. The double stun come out and the Kelp field. Pharaoh's here as well. Wrath of the Pharaoh onto that Jereziah. Soul's Blessing coming out. The root from Keeper even coming out as well. Meraxes getting away with a little bit of health. He's still chasing that Luna. He will end up taking her out. And Pharaoh and Keeper got to back off here, but Keeper's getting Ice Imprisonment by that Glacius. He does pop the Invis for a little bit of health regen and a little bit of armor, but will run into that Nymphora. He looks like he will be okay. So it ends up being a Luna just dropping there and a lot of nothing else happening, but a lot of harass. Going to drive both teams off. A lot of ultimates getting popped in the middle lane.
Yeah, that Meraxes just got out on a nick of health, managed to use that portal scroll to get up. We actually see Jereziah is dropping low in the mid lane here. He's popped that protective charm. Not sure if it's going to be enough. I think the auto attacks might be able to finish him. No, just gets out with less than 100 health there. And that Pharaoh missile actually picks him up. Great shot there by Zloka.
Huge snipes coming out from Pharaoh. Much better than Gimli, obviously, we saw in the Cyber Gaming Invitationals. Actually, nah, to be fair, he had some good snipe shots himself. But that was huge. Obviously, Jereziah thought he was away there, decided not to actually jump to the side, didn't try and juke the Tormented Soul at all, just thought, oh crap, thank God I'm alive, and getting taken out there in that middle lane. So, good response coming out, 6 for 6 still, the game's still very, very even. And it looks like Keeper's getting into that aggressive jungle now. He's got to be a little bit careful though, obviously he is on his own here. And Nymphora and everyone else are still nearby. It just looks like he'll keep jungling though.
Yeah, certainly. Meanwhile, they're playing B back on their Jereziah. Takes a little bit of harass, but of course, with that inner light, he actually heals it up. Meanwhile, Zloka gets another kill onto Hartley down there. He's pursuing Glacius now as those trees are doing a bit of damage, but Keeper of the Forest has actually turned in there, so he is safe. Meanwhile, this Pharaoh is being, well, it looks like he's in a lot of danger. In fact, we've got Silhouette and Meraxes hammering onto him, but Keeper just uses that Nature's Veil, and he will be safe. So that Invi is paying dividend for a touch of class, and you know this Pharaoh, he's looking pretty big at the moment. 380 GPM, 3-0-1. He's got that early Helm of the Black Legion, so that is really going to help him, you know, in terms of initiation, staying alive after that. So he is one to look out for, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We see here a Nymphora actually teleporting top. Going to catch that Forsaken Archer out again. And be back getting credit for the kill on that Jereziah. While that's happening, there was a little bit of something happening in that bottom lane. I think Keeper of the Forest just harassing Silhouette while she tries to farm the jungle. But that's huge again, taking that Forsaken Archer, sitting on 197 gold per minute at the moment. He's still in a bit of a rough position here. And it doesn't look like it's getting much better.
Yeah, certainly the F just really struggling this game. It is not, it's just not where are we? Palfighter's game. But in the meantime, we're actually going to have Keeper of the Forest just trolling Silhouette a little bit. He's actually going to use that root. Might pick up the kill there. Yes! Zloka actually stole the kill with a missile. So, nice bit of play, I suppose. You know, securing that kill so Silhouette couldn't use that tree grapple away. But, you know, some nice aggressive jungling, like you pointed out. You know, In Need of Tim has just gone down into this jungle. Wow, as we actually see B-Back get a kill onto Palfighter there. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, we've got a tower which will drop. Jereziah with a protected charm on him, so he will just be able to back away.
Yeah, they do take out that tower. Obviously, Hardy getting credit for the kill. Pharaoh and Bubbles getting up there as a response team, but a little bit too late, as obviously Forsaken Archer already gone. They jumped up in that top lane as well. In the tower there, just doing too much damage for a touch of class to really try and defend against. It is slightly in the favour of Goobies at the moment with 2,200 gold lead. It looks like they are grouping up into this middle lane, potentially trying to make a push here. And they've got a lot of mana happening.
See, with that Nymphora, with that Jerizaiah, Ring of Sorcery as well, and that Glaciosaurus, so they're definitely not starved for mana by any means. While this is happening, though, Silhouette sitting in that bottom lane, potentially roaming here back into the mid. Looks like they're going to walk past a Keeper of the Forest. So they know he's around, but obviously his ultimate's still on cooldown for another 35 seconds, having used it to kill Silhouette. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, interesting actually. I was saying that Populous on the Glaciers, he hasn't actually gone with that sort of pretty standard build where he levels up that Chilling Presence. He's actually decided to go for a lot more of an aggressive skill order, that is, with maxing out that Tundra Blast, then the Ice Imprisonment next. So he's going to be, a Glacius that hurts a lot. And, with 1, 2, 3, he's got 3 assists and 1 kill to show for it. So it's obviously working out for him.
Yeah, definitely.
As we actually see.
With that Nymphora obviously having the mana and Jerizaiah as well, they just definitely do not need the Chilling Presence. I mean, maybe late game, even then, it doesn't scale very well. You could just see stats getting onto that Glacius, make it a little bit tankier, stay alive a little bit better. But it looks like Keeper, he's got his root ready now, he's getting nearby, and they know he's there. It looks like they might be getting a bit of a push happening, while Forsaken Archer tries to farm that top lane against the Jerizaiah, but getting forced back herself. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening in this mid lane. That's power throw coming out. There goes the Wrath of the Pharaoh. He jumps on in there, throws up the Mummy Walls. The Tree Dogs are out as well. Nymphora ends up going down right there. The teleports are coming in from Jerizaiah. The root does go down, only catching catching Jerizaiah there, popping that Soul's Blessing. Chainsaw Massacre coming up for Meraxes, and looks like the Hellborn team is in a little bit of trouble as Silhouette doing a lot of damage, potentially getting the grapple off here onto that Pharaoh with that double damage. He does get invis though, and he stands near those little trees. Keeper of the Forest end up going down though. Bubbles doing what he can with a Shell Surf. Power Throw baited out from a Luna there, deciding to wait for a better opportunity to get more of them. It's not going to make a difference though, as Bubbles will go down and a Luna is on the run right now, having axes thrown at her head. Will she be able to get out of here? She runs into the lane, couple of auto attacks, one more. Oh my god, the axe gets her on a bee stick of health, and looks like the Legion team will back off here. Pharaoh getting out of there alive actually.
Yeah, Pharaoh did manage to survive, even though he was the one that initiated. But, well, we actually see that Wrath of the Pharaoh is going to help him get the kill on to keep chilling there. So, obviously, Silo just stayed a little bit too long. And, that's a nice pickup from Pharaoh. A bit of a consolation as we actually see, wow, the power throw got the kill onto Cianeski there.
Wow, big snipes this game. Coming out with the red power throw.
Huge snipes all around there. So, a few nice consolation kills for a touch of class. And, currently it's 10 to 11. We've got a 2.5k gold lead in Goober's favour. But, that's not really too much about it. And, of course, that experience at the moment pretty much dead set even. So we still have a very close game on our hands here, Dan.
Yeah, definitely. It could really go either way. I mean, the Silhouette is getting more powerful, though, with 335 gold per minute. While that impressive farm on Pharaoh is nice, it looks like he might be going for something like a Hellflower. And he will be able to catch out this Meraxes. Keeper of the Forest is nearby as well. Mummy Walls do come out. Tormented Soul. Chainsaw Massacre doing what he can, just trying to stay alive with the stun as well, but it's not going to be nearly enough. And Keeper of the Forest.
Yeah, meanwhile up at the top.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Top lane.
That was not pretty for a touch of class. Hellfighter there. He just got completely dunked with the help of the Nymphora teleport that got Keep Chilling into place. Really paid the prices. We actually see Pharaoh in danger down in the bottom lane here. He's caught off, uses that Pharaoh wall to secure Glacier inside it. Glacier is actually going to have to be forced to back out here, but that Hellfire will finish him off. Meanwhile, Pharaoh gets dropped very low. The last one attack from Pharaoh won't quite get it. Keeper invises himself in, actually, as Pharaoh is still invis. Not sure if... No, Pharaoh has actually come out of invis now. He's going to drop. And Keeper, in the meantime, is going to try and stay between trees, but I think he might be able.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine getting out of there. So they don't really have any rev wards, they don't have any dust, they won't be able to catch him. But while that was happening, Nymphora actually went down to Bubbles, but Bubbles in a little bit of trouble here as Meraxes teleporter keys in. Keeper is nearby though to help him out, and Meraxes, I believe, will back off here under the pressure, as he's not going to try and dive the tower just yet.
Yeah, wasn't feeling quite ballsy enough, but as you can see, T Jimba on the Meraxis there, 424 at the moment, 300 GPM. He's going for a pretty standard, I'd say, Meraxis build. Going for those early steam boots just for a few stats, a little bit of strength, and straight into a portal key after that, just for that extra mobility, the initiation power as well. So a pretty nice build there by T Jimba. As I say that, Hellfighter is actually farming a few of those ancients, so